Just recently with Fallout 76, there have been some major new discoveries when it comes to the Brotherhood of Steel. Some information found in the files of the game that may have actually been left for us by Bethesda specifically to uncover and get the full message from. And this has huge implications as to where the future DLCs are going. So in this video, we're going to break down that, some other data mines or leaks that were found around the Brotherhood in the files in the way of objects. Earlier today, the public test server got an update revealing new score features, new Fallout First features, and more. But even further, the update on where the Inside the Vault is and some other in-game happenings or future content on the way. If you guys enjoy the content, you can definitely get subscribed. There should be a healthy amount of new content coming to this game over the coming weeks, and I'll be sure to cover just about all of it. But starting things off, let's take a look at today's Inside the Vault article, which is actually non-existent because there was no Inside the Vault this week. So although it's not the first time we've never had it Inside the Vault, it might be the first time we've never been notified that there wouldn't be one. But as yesterday came and went, and then much of today has come and gone already, we heard no official word from Bethesda as to where the Inside the Vault article is, their weekly article series, giving us insights into the development of 76 and of course its future features. So effectively what seems to have happened here is Bethesda kind of shut down after they posted their blackout statement on Twitter. They posted that earlier in the week, and following this, there was a few things that were scheduled, like their weekly live streams, this is a part of their Bethesda at Home initiative, or even things like the Arcane developers doing an AMA that were cancelled. Some of this got more official notifications, other things just didn't happen, and it seems like the Inside the Vault fell into that category, or at least it seems pretty likely that might be the reason. Or if not, they just decided not to do it this week, but didn't really tell anyone. As to why they didn't give an official notification like, hey, we're just postponing it till next week, or hey, it's not happening at all, I'm not really too sure. Although fortunately, there is quite a bit outside of even that happening, as quite a bit has been data mined from Fallout 76's PTS. A new update for this just went live today, and we'll go over what was new and what wasn't really new with that, but quite a bit has been found in the past, and all of this is kind of under the guise of spoilers for the game. It gives us details around future content, likely a precursor quest, and it is a PC exclusive right now. So if you don't want to see this, I recommend skipping this part of the video. We're just kind of skipping the video overall because it's a pretty big chunk of it. But also if you missed my last video on the leaks, I recommend checking that out. This is a good precursor to where we are now. A brief recap, basically a ton of messages and a new NPC were found in the files of Fallout 76. We got this message from a paladin who is on their way to Appalachia and wants to set up shop at Atlas Observatory.
This is Paladin Romani of the Brotherhood of Steel, broadcasting to the people of Appalachia.
In the PTS, we could find Atlas Observatory changed. It has a new tent, it has a boarded up door, and also there's going to be a new NPC there known as Russell Dorsey. He's going to kind of be the Appalachian resident that is going to be facilitating the return of the Brotherhood. It's not like he's affiliated with them yet, he just really likes them, so is helping out in the communication and prepping for their arrival. One of the new things we could hear is actually several voice lines from Russell Dorsey.
The Brotherhood of Steel. The original ones, from out in California. A group of them have been broadcasting radio messages to Appalachia. Your Pip-Boys should be able to pick up the signal. They're on their way to West Virginia to set up a new chapter here at the Atlas Observatory.
These are just three of the separate dialogue options available. They don't really reveal much. It's kind of just a restatement of past facts, but it is interesting to hear from Russell directly. Separate from that, several items having to do with the Brotherhood of Steel were also data mined. We got things like different armor pieces they will be wearing, some crates that'll probably populate this area. There's going to be a segment where we donate resources for their eventual arrival. Probably going to click on this crate to put those in. And even other things like flags, a custom iBot that will be part of the faction, as well as some miscellaneous things like tarps. As far as Russell Dorsey and all this content, it's not totally clear how it fits in, but it seems extremely likely that it's going to almost be a precursor quest. A quest we get ahead of the larger DLC questline to kind of get us ripe and ready. This is something Bethesda did with both Wastelanders as well as the Nuclear Winter game mode. So we could start seeing some of this in just the next couple of months or even the next update. But with that original data mine, the big thing we found was that message from the new Paladin, that with Romani. But many of you may remember, outside of that, there were several other Brotherhood transmissions described as Maxon transmissions that at the time were indecipherable. 5 in total were found.
Hubris, weapon, visual, atomic, lockpick, atomic.
Except people have started to decipher them, and huge credit to the data mining Discord. I'm going to have a link to this down below. It is where much of this progress has been being made, and it's not complete, so if you want to help out yourself, that is where you should go. The first thought that these 5 messages could have deeper meaning was again from that past data mine, where they were described as encrypted messages, suggesting that perhaps we were the ones responsible for decrypting them. It's not totally clear how this all fits together, if it would be a part of this precursor quest, or maybe later in the precursor quest, like a second wave would come, or even perhaps if it was for data miners. As you'll see, the way to decrypt these are using real-life decryption tools, very similar to an ARG, which is somewhat unprecedented for Fallout 76, or even Fallout in general. The first message to get decrypted was message 2. That sounds like this.
Hubris, weapon, visual, atomic, lockpick, atomic, Grognak, fort, sentinels, jangles, quarry, x-ray.
It was actually relatively simple to decrypt this one. Basically, all they did was convert the words being used here to a phonetic alphabet. So when you hear the phrase jingles, that converts to a J. When doing that for the entire file, you just get a random assortment of letters. But honestly, doesn't make much sense and is very confusing, except then, kind of just by sheer luck, it was put into a Caesar cipher and actually output a legible message. A Caesar cipher is one of the simplest and most commonly used ciphers. It was actually used by Julius Caesar originally, and basically all it entails is taking whatever letter you have and replacing it with a different letter from the alphabet. So let's say you have the letter A and you have a positive 1 shift, and A would become a Z because it shifts once backwards in the alphabet. And if you do this for the message overall, you get the complete picture. I'm going to share all these messages at the end in order because it itself paints a larger picture, but from here it was clear, okay, there is something more to be discovered. These weren't just random letters or words, it wasn't just random messages, they had something to actually uncover from them. For one of the messages, which is by far the most complicated, used a spectrograph, which basically converts audio to a visual picture. This will give you binary, which is basically letters or numbers just using 0 or 1s. You convert the binary to letters, and then you put the letters in a Caesar cipher, and you get the full message, which actually was reversed, so all of the words were spelled backwards. And then for the third message, it was actually just a reverse spectrogram. So this took a lot of effort, and again, full credit goes to the data mining Discord, but now we actually have 3 messages from the Brotherhood of Steel. Although you may remember there was 5 in total, and that's somewhat where you could come in. What has been decoded thus far are messages 1, 2, and 4, but message 3, which sounds like this, and message 5 sounds like this, have yet to been deciphered. People just can't figure out how to do it, and none of the previous methods work on those messages. Message 1 says, First Expeditionary Force. This is LH, which seems to refer to Lost Hills, the west coastern base of the Brotherhood at the time, with a record priority gamma message. Papa Romeo, which seems to be like the code name for Paladin Romani, missed the last 4 check-ins. No contact since crossing the Rockies. Scribes estimate unit position in the vicinity of Lincoln. Orders are to re-establish comms with LH ASAP. Provide a full report of whereabouts and activities since last communication. Acknowledge uncoded channel 2-3, LH out, message repeats. So this one seems pretty simple. The Brotherhood of Steel members coming to Appalachia refer to themselves as the First Expeditionary Force. They're led by Paladin Romani, but for some reason, Elder Maxon, the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel, is unable to get into contact with them. The second message reads, First Expeditionary Force, this is LH, with recorded priority alpha message, no response to previous broadcast from Papa Romeo or other members of unit. LH now assumes unit is incapable of response. Any surviving unit members are ordered to divert from primary mission immediately. Acknowledge uncoded channel 1-8, LH out, message repeats. Those are messages 1 and 2, which of course are the 2 earliest ones, but then we skip to message 4, which we have to skip over message 3 as it hasn't been decoded, and message 4 is very different. This is Elder Roger Maxon broadcasting to Paladin Layla Romani. Secure private channel. I've sent the scribes away. This message is not being recorded in the logs. I'm speaking to you now not as your elder or commanding officer, but as a friend. Layla, I know you and I have had our disagreements, but I still believe you understand the value and purpose of the Brotherhood. You wanted this mission, though I am sure you have suspicion under why you were chosen. I still hope you are simply unable to answer our broadcast. We may not see eye to eye, but you know the codex and are sworn to it. The alternative, I don't wish to entertain it. For the time being, I have suppressed that suggestion among the officers and kept it out of our other attempts to reach you, but if you do not report in soon, I may be overruled. Your mission out there is important no matter what you may think. You are still one of us, still a paladin of the Brotherhood, duty bound, broadcast on any other Brotherhood channel. Encrypted be damned, just do it. Max it out, message repeats. So those first couple of messages are the interesting ones, but it's really the fourth one that actually is revealing as far as story content goes. Firstly, this seems to be definitive proof that the first expeditionary force is coming from the west coast to the eastern coast in Appalachia. It was alluded to before, but this is pretty concrete. But what exactly happens to them isn't totally clear. They're reaching out to us, giving us the message to prepare Atlas Observatory with materials, but for some reason aren't contacting Lost Hills, which is kind of odd and doesn't really make a ton of sense. To me, it seems like the most likely reason the Brotherhood of Steel are making their way to Appalachia is to finish off the Scorched Plague. Perhaps the weather machine at Atlas is another motivation. If you're not familiar, the lore of that location is it was basically a government project to change the weather. Invaluable just in general, but perhaps even as a weapon against the Scorched Plague, freeze them out or something. According to Maxon, Paladin Romani wanted this mission, and for some reason there's something suspicious or interesting about her being chosen for it. But what disagreements are there exactly between Maxon and the larger Brotherhood of Steel and Romani herself? Was it only Romani that really thought it was worthy to go and save Appalachia, while the rest of the Brotherhood were like, nah, let's just leave them out there? We have to focus on things back home first. It seems like that could be an easy thing to follow. And you have to imagine whatever this conflict is that is developed, it'll be something that's explored more heavily in Fractured Steel, the larger questline coming this winter. Perhaps the other two messages will give more context, perhaps that's something we'll be able to uncover in the next couple of days. I will keep you guys updated. So all of this still seems like it could be a precursor to the actual Brotherhood of Steel DLC. Messages we get or intercept ahead of time of the Brotherhood's arrival. And you have to imagine, based off the naming, Paladin Romani and her force will actually arrive with the fall DLC of Steel Dawn. Although something interesting, Steel Dawn could have a double meaning. The actual dawn of the Brotherhood of Steel in the area, but even further, in the files of the game, the Brotherhood armor is actually referred to as Steel Dawn. So that could be what this group of soldiers begins to call themselves, maybe as they kind of split apart from the larger Brotherhood force. But then it also makes you curious as to how exactly it fits in with Fractured Steel. The way it's described in the roadmap, it really seems like Steel Dawn will be a smaller questline, our introduction to the Brotherhood, where Fractured Steel, coming this winter, is the much larger, expansion-sized experience. What's going to change in that period? Is the Steel Dawn Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel going to expand in ranks and that's why it's larger? Does the West Coast Brotherhood of Steel view this now first expeditionary force as deserters based on these messages? You could hear in those messages how Roger Maxon is citing the Codex, which is functionally the Brotherhood's constitution. Perhaps they're going to come out or send a force to deal with the Brotherhood of Steel that have now deserted or not responded back to command. Maybe that initial Brotherhood force almost turns into an Outcast-esque group, or just something crazy like join the Enclave and then you have the Enclave versus BOS battle that we've seen so many times now. To me, the confusing part is these messages being available now. Unless we're just accessing them way earlier than we should be and they actually are meant to be released in like 5 months, what is the point of the first questline and how does that vary from the second one? How is there already what seems like a fracture occurring? I kind of assumed the first questline would just be the intro to the Brotherhood, you help them out a bit, but then the second questline you get the large descent, how this group differs from the other group and how they split apart, and that's the eventual explanation for them being wiped out, because of course they don't appear in subsequent fallouts. But if we get those messages before the first DLC, I don't exactly know the timeline. There's definitely a lot to unpack with this one. I would love to hear from you guys down below. What do you suspect is going on here? What do you think the dynamic is? What is the conflict based around? And again, if you guys do want to participate, I will have links down below to that Discord so you can check it out for yourself. Although even outside of that, quite a bit of other information has been data mined from the game and from the new update on the PTS. A few things around Vault 96, we get a better look that some of the difficulty modes are implemented. All around Vault 96 seems like it is right now structured very similar to Vault 94. But even further, we know it's still a ways away. Although we do have a better in-game look at the armor, we also know there's still a lot of placeholders, such as the rewards for this right now are listed as the Vault 94 armors, which is likely wrong. It's going to be the Vault 96 armor we can see here. Outside of that, we got a better in-game look at the Vertibird power armor, which also is pretty cool. This is actually a new ATX item, so not quite in the same vein as the 96 armor, but it seems like Bethesda is doing a big old school military push on the Atomic Shop, or just military push in general. Of course, you have that Vertibird power armor, but even separately, a ton of berets, this new flight outfit that looks pretty cool. We have that new AR style weapon skin, which unfortunately isn't actually a new weapon, it's just a skin for the handmade. Although one thing that is actually pretty cool, there is also a mask display, seemingly to display some of those Fosnot masks you did win. It looks like a new Fallout First outfit is on the way. There's been a lot of discussion around Fallout First as of late, mainly because there just isn't much going on with it and some of those promises weren't fulfilled. But this likely will be another free edition that comes with it, relatively minor, probably not going to satiate everyone, but it is something. Although speaking of Fallout First and microtransactions, we could also see several interesting additions with the score system. One such one is an ammo converter. So right now we have the ammo converter as well as the animation for it. It again does look like it will be a score reward. In game right now, there's an ammo manufacturer that you can get via the gold bullion system, but an ammo converter would be massive. A massive change to the economy, and depending on how it's implemented with the score system, could be pretty impactful. It's not totally clear how this will work. People have looked and it's not currently in the files, it's just the item itself is. But if there's going to be a way to take some of those less valuable ammo types that people literally have tens of thousands of, like .38 ammo is the biggest example, and convert them to more valuable ammo types, that would be tremendous. But would also probably mark a giant shift in the in-game economy. Right now, selling ammo for 1 cap each is just really popular. But if you alternatively could turn that into a more desirable ammo type for your build, I'm sure you'll see almost a complete elimination of it. Although, with this being a score reward, the question does become, well, how deep into the score system is it? Because that's kind of a big feature with the game to actually bury within that system. I don't want to go too deep into this just yet because again, we don't even know exactly what it does. It's just called an ammo converter, so you have to assume. But even further, in the score system are Vault Tech supply packages. These coming in 3 levels, and it's basically going to be a little supply kit that you can open and get scrap. It is labeled ATX and score, and thus far, everything labeled with the Atomic Shop and score is typically a score exclusive. But if this ends up actually being an Atomic Shop item, that would probably be the most pay-to-win thing added thus far, but again, it doesn't look like it will be. I'm more so trying to preface this because at some points it is labeled ATX, so I'm sure somebody somewhere might think that. An Outcast power armor paint job was found for the score system. It looks like it'll apply to basically all of the power armors. Right now we just have the textures for it, but it definitely looks interesting. But again, being a score reward, likely unrelated to the larger Brotherhood quest lines. As far as the items or currencies you could win via the score system, we just had this storefront pop up. So it shows atoms, gold, caps, script, per card packs, as well as these new, which again award you junk at 3 levels. Not featured here, we also know there are score-based lunchboxes that will give you experience bonuses up to 100%. It'll be randomized and affect your party, but again, it looks like for at least right now, it is score only. There's some of the initial notable data mines. The update only came out a few hours ago though, so if anything else is discovered, I'll show you in a follow-up video. The update in general actually came with patch notes on the PTS, and there are quite a few fairly significant additions. There are now mods for the Secret Service Under Armor that you could purchase for gold bullion. The Wendigo Colossus now has a 10% chance to spawn if you nuke an area where it can spawn. Previously it was 6%. Quests in the Pip-Boy now sort alphabetically, as well as a myriad of other miscellaneous or more minor changes. All of this is definitely exciting, but there's also quite a bit missing from this list. Other changes you hope to see, but have currently not really been fully implemented. One final note, there's actually a double experience weekend going on right now in Fallout 76. This is cool just in general if you're trying to level up, especially in preparation for the legendary perk system, so you'll actually need high levels. But even further, there still is the limited time Nuclear Winter event, and double experience counts towards progress in that event. So if you want some of those limited time cosmetics, grinding them out this weekend would be a particularly good, actually the best time thus far. Large in part, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully you found the video informative. There was just a lot to go over as far as all this new content from leaks, data mines, updates. I should actually have a special video in Fallout 76 tomorrow discussing something odd with the game. But until next time, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all later. Bye.